So if you remember any of today, off to the races.
It's all right. I warmed up. I was listening to BLT on the way here, so I'm feeling good.
I was also listening to BLT this morning. I think that's actually a good spot to start. Podcasting, like as musos, I know I've said this like 600 times. Everyone assumes that my car is just like a walking playlist of things. You'll rarely catch me listening to music. I listen to podcasts.
Yeah, same.
Tell me about that. Like why podcasts?
Podcasts. This is great. I don't know what it is. I've always been listening to music for years growing up. And then I guess, I think it was the Luke and Lewis podcast that I first got me into it. And I don't know where that came from. I just started listening to it. Yeah. Really liked it. And then I went back to the start, listened to the demos all the way up to the end again.
Okay, yeah.
So I've done the whole lot of Luke and Lewis. I think twice, maybe. I think I've done it twice.
Wow,
and then
crazy.
On the back of that, I got into Hamish and Andy, and then BLT, and then there's a few other podcasts I listen to now. But I like it as something completely separate, it also makes me listen to music, I think, more intentionally. I don't listen to music as background music. Almost the podcast is like background stuff. Yeah. So the stuff I listen to is a lot of like comedy and conversational. It's almost like an extra friend group or something. You're just like talking shit with the boys kind of vibe.
I love that. When I did one of the episodes last season, I had that exact conversation. I said it's like you two are sitting on the couch. I'm just cooking dinner. I'm a little bit too far away to probably chime in with any conversation that's of any value, but I can hear everything you're saying, and I'm still going to laugh at the jokes whilst I'm just doing what I'm doing. Yeah, that's for me what a podcast in the car is. Yeah, and you learn so much about people, and then it's funny. It's one of those things that they often say at shows, like comedians say at shows. Like someone comes up and goes, "Oh my God, sorry about the car," and you're like. Oh yeah, I mentioned that my car broke down last week's episode. Thank you for your car condolences. And you're like, oh, sorry, forget that you would know nothing about me. My name is blah. But I'm sorry that your car broke down yesterday on Sydney Harbour Bridge. It was 3 p.m. And you're like, yeah, okay, I get it. You listen, I get it.
Yeah, I definitely was that person once.
Okay.
The first time I saw, I think it was Luke Kidgel. I saw him at, it might have been the Princess Theatre, I can't remember. Okay. But then as I was walking out, his girlfriend Meg was on merch.
Oh, yep.
And then as we were walking out, she was just there.
And you just shouted, Meg!
I did. But like not loud enough that it was like a joke. It was just enough that she could hear it. And then I just walked off and didn't have a conversation at all. I don't know why I did it like that. It was so bad. I just was like, Meg! And then just kept walking. And I'm just like...
Oh, that's actually... I like how, because basically Luke and Lewis was one of those ones where I started getting into podcast, getting the app and like actually listening to podcasting as opposed to music, whatever.
Yeah.
That's actually hilarious that I knew exactly what you were going to say.
Yeah. Or that I recognized her and then just did that and just with no, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. At one of my past jobs, we endorsed them, and they came up when they were on tour, and they came in with Tyler and did the, which is part of the reason why I had managed to have Tyler on the pod.
Yeah.
And while we did walk around the warehouse, stuff like that, and yeah, it took every part of me. Like sometimes they'd just say something, it's just like a by the way thing. They were having like serious conversations with the boss and whatever, and I was just like, and Tyler came past with some sort of comment. I just made some like backhanded comment about Ruben. Yeah. And I just like the warehouse days or something. And it just got completely caught him off guard, but he's like, good take, but also I'm Tyler. Like, by the way, like, I don't. It's just funny. And then to have him like sitting down here when we did the pod and we are just talking about like it's fun to say things, stuff like that, and just like some of those terms, things like that. And he's just like, you know what, it is fun to say things. You're right, it is fun to say things.
It is really fun.
So speaking of saying things, music, where does that all start for Josiah?
Where does it all start? My parents, very much. My dad's a drummer, very good drummer. My mum's not so much involved anymore, but she used to play the clarinet in school. She's a really good singer, all that stuff. But I think I was about 6 years old, I had to do piano lessons. All my siblings did.
All did an instrument or did piano?
Piano lessons.
Okay.
It had to be piano, and you only had to do it for a year, and then you could decide not to do it anymore. I think nearly all of us did it for more than a year.
All out of school?
This was kind of at school, but separate to school.
Sure,
I got taken out of class and it was actually keyboard lessons on a little small keyboard thing. But yeah, I did that all the way through primary school. Sure. And then that's kind of definitely just been the backbone of everything I've learned since. I started learning classical guitar in grade 6. Then I moved to the Sunshine Coast and I was like, I never want to do classical guitar ever again. And then I got a guitar teacher and I learned like Holiday by Green Day, and that's the main thing I remember learning. But then just I would take songs and go, I want to play this song, this song, this song. And he would just do up tabs, teach me how to do that. And it was essentially just free reign. You can do whatever you want.
Okay, but you learned the skills on how to learn, as well as just like, where does my finger go? You're like, why does my finger go there? Okay,
Yeah, lots of that. And I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to play lead guitar. And then I realized I just don't want to do that.
Nice. Okay.
I don't know what it is. I really struggle with it. But then I guess that's probably how I ended up playing bass. But then also a big part of music is I've grown up a part of the church. And so I've been playing music on stage weekly probably since I was 12.
Yeah, so that
13.
just is a non-event for you. None of there's no, like those nerves and those. Yeah. There's no.
So like I used to do like drums at the kids' church on an SPD, like not actual drums, on an SPD, and then a bit of guitar. And then one day I picked up a bass guitar, and Craig, who's now Chamberlain's producer, he looked at me and he said, "You're never going to put that down ever again." Okay. And I haven't.
Why?
I've become
why is
a bass
that? Do you
player.
think?
Well, firstly, it was a need thing. Not many people played bass. It was just on the night they didn't have a bass player, and I was like, I reckon I can do it.
Same with Caleb. Caleb's very similar.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. It was like a necessity.
It was just like, and so I did it, and then it was just like I think it was a thing of like, there's always a hole in the bass player gap. Everyone wants to be a guitarist or a drummer or something like that. So it's very easy to fill that gap as a bass player. And then, I don't know, maybe he also recognized that I would be a really good bass player or something. I don't know. But yeah, ever since then, bass players, as soon as I picked up bass, a lot of things I wanted to do became really easy to do. I'd always wanted to be in like the stage band at school for guitar, but I wasn't quite good enough and I couldn't read music. As soon as I picked up a bass guitar, I was in immediately and just was like, here's bass clef, figure it out, we need a bass player.
Oh, wait. So your music, your sight reading in treble clef was not amazing even after doing piano?
No, it was terrible. I forgot most of that.
Okay, so it was just, right. So, I was going to say, so between classical guitar, Blur, and piano.
Yeah, so this is a bit all over the shop.
Just disappeared.
Well, I wouldn't say disappeared. It's still, but like I didn't practice it and didn't get much further into it. But in terms of, because I'd grown up playing it, it wasn't like a foreign thing. It was almost like I would relearn it.
Sure,
In also relearning it, I was also learning the bass at the same time.
Of course.
So that I was relearning it bass clef with the sense of bass. So I'm quite confident in bass clef. I mean, at the moment, because I'm doing a musical in bass clef.
We discussed that off there. That whole idea of like having to, you go, okay, hieroglyphics, got to get back into this again, got to get my brain back into sight reading.
About a month in, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I remember this. Treble clef I'd probably struggle with.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's weird. There is a lot of backbone in the piano lessons I did, but then also I forgot a lot of it. Yeah,
but I get that. Like for me, like sight reading, I have to actively get back into it. Like I know what all the symbols mean because like really that's what it means. Like understanding, it's gonna sound so rhythm clef, but like understanding rhythm notation and understanding sight reading. I'm not like you put it next to me and we go, okay, I'm gonna just count you in 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I'm not there.
No,
but like because of the way it's structured more like a picture as opposed to a sequence of notes. It's like the way it's built is more like a picture, so you can get a vibe of what you're looking at. But at the same time, I get that. It's like I know how to do it, but I was out of it. And then after year 12, like actual notation, like tuned notation, I understand the concept, but you'd be hard pressed to get me fluent in it without like really diving in on like a project.
Yeah, the thing I actually struggle with is the rhythm notation, like you said. I can read the notes perfectly fine now. It's actually like so much of music I play now is all about feel that sight reading to me is like the exact opposite. But it was one of the teachers in the band at the musical that was like, you still got to feel the music. This is almost just like someone hasn't written it, then played it. They've all played it, and then someone's gone away and notated that. Yep. So it's a way of expressing it, but you still got to feel it. And so a lot of it's got to do with, even though it says like, to do it one way, maybe just feel it a bit, play it how you want to play it. It's almost like a guideline kind of thing.
As long as we're starting here, we're stopping here, we're coming in that bit, stuff. This one's quieter than this. Yeah, and the other thing is, like musicals, I suppose, is different. Like I've done popular musicals where for the most part, I know 80% of the songs.
Yeah.
So that's probably bad. Like the notation's there, but I'm not even getting a glance. But then I did a 15-minute notice gig, concert band gig, 25-piece thing at high school because the drummer didn't show. And she's like, we need someone. And I was like, okay, when's the set? And she said, it's not after this song, it's after the next song. And I was like, she comes in with notation and goes this. And it's word I can't pronounce number 3. And I'm like, can't really look this one up, can I?
No.
So, and then one of them was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, there's probably going to be a start that is not just da-da-dun-dun, but I know we're going to get there eventually. So let's just sort of vibe it out until we get to that bit. As long as I know how to start, and if I start, then... Meanwhile, I've never dealt with a conductor ever before. I had no understanding of any of what that was going to be like. And then I come together for this third song, which was a very different but similar rendition of Happy, like Pharrell Williams. So I was like, well, I definitely know how that goes. I know where we're going to end up there, but I have no idea how different it's going to be. And it was quite different. And I suppose from there, it was just basically, as I said, start and then just riff it based on what was sort of vibing out.
Right, yeah.
And it was hard because you're right. It's interesting you say that. I couldn't agree more. The idea that notation for me is the opposite of feel. It is a structured instructions based on blah, blah. It has to fit in this spot. Yeah. You can be wrong. Like, you can get it wrong. And for me, that's just like such an interesting juxtaposition with my understanding or feeling towards music is that, you know, we always talk about, like, John did something the other day and he played something when we were recording and he's like, oh, we're doing a bit of jazz. There was no wrong. It was like, probably not going to keep that one. But it's just different. It wasn't wrong.
Yeah. But it's interesting that I also see so much of the value of it. Like, you can't pull off that extravagant music unless everyone's got a kind of idea of where we're going.
Oh, and the parts and all the horns. And
I'm such a music theory nerd that I love doing musicals and seeing them all come together. And you're just like, oh... cool. But interestingly, with the music thing as well, is that I put it in front of me and then I'll spend a while trying to get it, trying to sight read, trying to do it. But as soon as you put me in the chair, in the band with the conductor there, and it's like 4 counts and we're in, I actually managed to get through most of the song. So it's like, it's this thing of like, I can do it, but also I can't.
Right.
It's just this weird skill that I'm not totally confident in, but when push comes to shove, we get somewhere.
It happens. It just happens. Okay. Do you find that you bring any of that world into either Chamberlain or Calan Mike?
Yeah, I definitely think I have a lot, particularly in the early days with Chamberlain when we were, I guess, first writing and things like that. Or even to now, me and Connor have such a different understanding of music that's really complementary and lovely. Connor is all feel, all emotion, just
vibes,
heart on the sleeve.
Yep.
Purely just going for what I can. He almost pictures the sound and then tries to play it, or he just plays the guitar and treats it like a painting almost and things like that. And I wish I could do that so much, but I'm so much in the other spectrum of through high school. I was a huge music theory nerd. I can transpose songs very well. I can hear chord progressions very well and things like that. And I also can pick things of like, I know where they technically should go. So there's times in songs, Connor will bring a song and he's like, I don't know how to get from this to this. And I'm like, well, we could use a perfect cadence to get back to the one or things like that. And so it's kind of a good balance of just little sprinkles of like, this is kind of what's been done before and what works. And it's kind of a classic thing music does, mixed with the just pure emotion, just battered out on a guitar thing. And I feel like it's been really... that marries together really well in Chamberlain. So yeah, it's been good.
It's interesting you say that because like I feel like sometimes John and I have that synergy in the production process, especially like putting together a song that he's come to by himself potentially or predominantly by himself. So there's a lot of parts that have never existed. So it's about understanding enough of what would normally has in the past gone there and going, well, this is sonically fine.
Yeah.
Is this actually what we like?
Yeah.
Rather than, I don't even know where to begin. Like, just put some notes together and see what happens. And that I think it's cool. It's a way that you can sort of, you can essentially get the line graph and join all the dots. And then production wise, sometimes John will be like, I think it's not thick enough as I want it, but Caleb's already in there, so there's no other bass parts. And I was like, you know what's crazy? How about you literally just get the guitar and just play the same note and just play the same note as a bar chord really high just for that entire phrase. And you listen to it by itself and it's rubbish. You never do it.
Exactly.
And then he goes, oh, that's filled that gap. You know, things like that. So it's he's vibes based, and I'm like, I think physically there's some space we can fill here to look at it as like a picture.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool that you say you do that because it makes sense because Connor's very vibes based, but you bring that as well and you go arrangement wise as well. Here's what I know will work, whether we choose to do it or not. It's
a matter of also looking at the skills you have and just embracing it. Because I'd kill to be able to have Connor's just pure raw emotion.
Sure.
Just like the amount of songs that guy writes is incredible. The amount of late night voice memos I just get from him of like, what do you think of this and stuff like that. Like that stuff is so encapsulates me. But then instead, I'm just like, I'm embracing what I do, and I do write songs, but like. Yeah, I'm embracing what I do and my skill set and really bringing it too. And early on in Chamberlain, we made a big deal that I was like the musical director.
Yep.
Which probably isn't the case anymore. We kind of all have grown up and have an idea. But I think maybe earlier on, because I'd done so much music theory, I had a bit of backbone to why we could do things or how to make things better. And so we were very clear on, I can kind of make some of those decisions. And we did that. But it's really cool now that I don't actually need to do that anymore. We've all kind of grown up doing it together, that now it's like pretty much every decision is like a group decision that we've made together. And it's special. It's cool as. Yeah.
And also, you know your roles. Like,
we all know.
Yeah, you know what you're all good at and things like that. So you have that ability to fit in the gaps without necessarily having to say, I think there's a gap here. It's just happening now naturally without needing to be spoken.
And for example, as back in the day, if the song didn't have an ending, it'd be like, all right, here are my 3 ideas of how we could end the song. And then we would kind of pick our favorite and do it. Whereas now, a lot of the times, we've all got ideas. And so we've done this thing now is where we will try everyone's idea, regardless of if you like it or not. Like a lot of the times, I'm very passionate about my ideas, and Connor's very passionate about his ideas.
Really? That doesn't sound like Connor at all.
Doesn't sound like me.
Exactly.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But then it's a thing now. It's like, all right, we both agree. We're going to try them both, and then we're just going to unanimously decide. And that has been so awesome to do. Instead of having to fall back on like all right, Josiah, what do you think? It's so much like no, we trust each other. We're going to try all of this, and we're just going to pick the best one. And it's so good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So how like I've heard it from him, but what is your side of the Chamberlain birth story, so to speak? Like, how does it all kick off from you? I know there's a school connection with a lot of this stuff, but like, how does that all sort of connect?
Well, yeah, like you said, Connor's definitely mentioned this before, but I'll do my best to recap it all. Me, Seth, and Connor all went to school together. We were in music class together. Me, Seth, and the first guitarist were in a funk band that played at like our graduation and stuff called Funkenstein. But yeah, we just did funk covers. We did like I Will Survive, play that funky music.
Okay, yeah.
What was the other one I loved? Anyway, it doesn't matter. We'd Wake Me Up Before You Go Go.
Oh, that would have been
like,
cool.
Yeah, lots of just like classic fun songs. And they had 3 girls fronting it. And then there was just kind of a rhythm section that backed that up.
Cool.
So yeah, that was really fun. And then also separate to that, Seth, Connor, the same original guitarist, were in another band. They didn't have me on bass. They called it Grain. I think they've still got an Instagram page buried somewhere that exists.
Amazing.
Yes.
Connor never told me this.
Yeah, this is where you're going to get all the scoops. I don't even care anymore. So we were kind of all involved in the separate thing, and Andy, the guitar teacher at Mountain Creek, kind of were leader of both of those things. But then in grade 12, Connor wrote Calling a Break, which is obviously Chamberlain's first single. But he wrote that just as a Connor Hansen song, and he submitted it as an assignment or a gala thing. It was COVID time, so assignments and performances were all video based, not actually in person. So we made a music video for Calling a Break, and we all played on Calling a Break. And so that's when, after leaving that, I was like, we should do this as a band. Like, you're writing the songs, I'll be the bass, and then we got drums and lead guitar. Like, let's just do this.
Sorted, yep.
And then, so yeah, we did that. And then in 2021, we put out calling a break as a Chamberlain song. So that was recorded about a year before we released it in school. And then we went back to Andy's house. He invited us in. We had a couple beers when we recorded our first EP with Andy.
Cool.
And then, on the back of the EP, we just played a bunch of open mics around the coast and tried to just start a band, I guess. And then, eventually we got our first kind of break with 11 Dive Bar, which then molded into moving up in the world. And then now we're really close with Soul Bar, and we've played Brisbane. I mean, now we've been most places in Australia and things like that. So that's mostly about the inception. And then I guess over time we've had a few guitarists, and now we've got Sam, who's absolutely smashing it.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been quite a like, the thing is that the journey itself was very, once again, I feel like that role thing has always been sort of there. Like, you knew what you were good at, and you've been working together, so you understand each other really well. And I think that's the best thing to have from the start. And
particularly I feel like me and Seth are always on the same page musically. Like, we've literally been playing together for so long, since grade 10 or 11. So I don't even know how, 29, that's I don't know, maybe 6 years now or something. Me and Seth have been playing together in many different types of music and things like that. And so a lot of the time we will leave a set on the same page if like that felt really tight, or like, it could have been a bit better, but it was still fun kind of thing. I feel like a lot of the times we've got a very similar outcome of how we left it. That's kind of separate, like a rhythm section feel of like that felt locked in.
Yeah, I get that. I think what's for you, what do you think is the journey that sort of Chamberlain's done in regarding like songwriting wise, genre wise, perhaps? Like, where do you think you started as opposed to where you are now? What would you call that? What would you call where you started to now?
Man, I hate talking about genres. It confuses me so much.
Next question.
No. I'll give it my best go. I think a lot of it has just been maturity. So the songs we're writing and releasing now are actually what we've been intending to write for years. And they've all been our best go at it. But this album that we're slowly releasing this year is like, finally, we've got these 10 songs that are just like, balls to the wall Chamberlain. Like,
yes, I love that. Yeah. See, that's good. That's a good answer.
A lot of it's definitely had a bit more Oasis-y influence, a bit more, but it was also maybe a bit more mellow, and I don't know why that is. I feel like a lot of, in our first EP, it had a lot of poppiness to it, which we do have and are very big on, but we also are a bit of a heavy band. We always make this joke that whenever we're on a lineup, we're either like the heaviest band that we're probably annoying the audience, or we're the softest band that it's probably annoying the audience. Like, we're the soft band of a heavy lineup, or we're the heavy band of a soft lineup. We're kind of in this weird in between, but it's kind of this weird in between that we really love. Like, we love bands like Sly Withers and Baker's Eddie, but then we also like, where was I going with this? We like bands. Yeah, we like bands like Sly Withers and Baker's Eddie and things like that still have that heavy element.
Yes.
But ultimately, it's a balls to the wall, poppy, sing-along chorus, particularly Sly Withers. And I remember the last time me and Connor went together, we left being like, this is what we want our band, not to sound like or anything. We're not trying to be them, but just like, we want to leave a set being like, my voice is broken because I sang along to every single song.
Sure.
Like, it's not necessarily, we don't, we love a bit of, the mosh and the having fun, the partying and things like that. But ultimately for us, we want to hear people singing along to our songs.
Totally.
And that's the goal for us for sure. And so maybe that's why sometimes in heavier lineups we get a soft feel, because we're going for a little bit more of that catchy, poppy vibes. But then into the soft, catchy, poppy stuff, we're still got some cool, maybe a halftime breakdown or a really strong riff or things like that.
Very
or
dirty
really
guitars,
punky-inspired dirty guitars thing. So it's like, that's probably the best way to explain it.
I like that. I've had that conversation with Dell a couple of times about that. Like, some of the songs, we're looking at like More Than Survival. More Than Survival, we could play in grunge and metal lineups.
Yeah.
And then Kill Your Idols, we could just play a classic rock show. We could do like support like tribute shows that are playing like classic rock.
Yeah.
We could do both based on once again whether you're at the soft end of a heavy lineup or a heavier end of a softer lineup. It's that sort of thing. So I like that. Yeah, because I'd agree with that. I think you would be in the same boat for sure.
And then so now we kind of just call it indie punk. as a genre. We've just stuck to that because I think it's open, but also it doesn't put us in a box. Like, we don't want to be just a punk band, but we've got a lot of punk heavy. We've got a bit of that attitude and things like that. So, but then the indie is kind of like the songwritery aspect, the sing-along, things like that. So we're just kind of landed with that as a blanket term. That's good. And we've just been chasing that, which has been really good. And I love the fact that we don't fit in a box. I think it means we're doing something different. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And what I was saying about being on the different lineups is actually not a bad thing, because it means you stand out. And that's always been our goal, is to just stand out as much as we possibly can.
And if you're having like those sing-along moments and things, there's a point of difference there anyway, because a lot of that, potentially that heavier genre, that's not their goal.
It's not their goal, exactly.
So therefore you're providing something that can be taken away at the end. I think it's a nice... for me, that's the sort of experience I'd like to have at a show, is I'd like to also be hoarse from singing all the words, as opposed to maybe something else. Like that for me is a success. Is when I can sing all the songs and really feel like we're having a night together, both on the stage and off the stage.
Yeah.
Especially because chemistry is a big thing, and I'd like to hear your thoughts about this. Chemistry on the stage and off the stage. Like, a lot of people have sat in that very seat and talked about your chemistry as a band. What do you think?
How many people?
Well, Dicko did it, and I think maybe I thought about it once, and I sat there maybe one time.
Damn it, I thought you were going to just start listing off everyone who loves Chamberlain, and I was like, begin.
Oh no, we can't be doing 3-4 hours.
Sorry. Go back to your question.
Sorry. Look, I know you were saying that stuff about me, but can we extend that niceness for a little longer?
Can we just keep talking?
Your fucking album, Josiah. I don't give a shit about you. Who thinks your chemistry is good? But no, what do you think about that? Like, when you see bands, because I think one thing, to go on a very long weave, but we see bands. A lot of people, it sounds ridiculous. It's like the podcast and music thing. They don't really see bands. They don't really go out and do stuff. They have what they like or what they want their thing to be or whatever, but they don't really see music. We see music. What do you resonate with when you think of yourself? Obviously, you've never seen a Chamberlain show, but like, when you think of your chemistry and stuff and the things you see on stage, what do you think that relationship is like when you're the punter versus being the person on stage?
That's true. I love what you're talking about, how you see music, because I've said this a lot. I think my dad says it all the time, is like, music, as much as it's audio, it's a visual medium. It's like, there's a reason that a lot of the biggest bands in the world are like really hot people. Like, it's just naturally you're going to look for people who look attractive or look like they want to be your friends or look like things like that.
It's inviting.
Yeah. So with Chamberlain, there was definitely a switch on one point where we decided that the priority, as much as it is the music and the songwriting, it is actually each other, and treating it a bit more like a family. Like, you're going to see each other's worth sides and your bad sides, but ultimately we're here for each other. We want to have a good time, and we want to prioritize that. We don't want to like sacrifice that for an empty opportunity or an empty goal or something like that. So everything, our goals are very like simple, focused, and just everything we do goes towards that, and we really prioritize each other. And even, it was funny, we were talking about it on Tuesday at our band practice. There's potentially something come up that we might have to change days, and we were like, oh, we could maybe just do it once a fortnight or something like that. Because we rehearse once a week, like every week since we were formed back in 2021. And a lot of bands I know like just rehearse when they have gigs and they just do the homework and things like that. But we were talking about, oh, what if we do it once a fortnight, or can we change it? And we're like, nah, this has been something really special about Chamberlain, is we see each other every week. If we don't have much to do, we'll try and write something or work on new things to write. If we're all feeling a bit flat, we'll probably play 3 songs and go to the pub. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But it's the hang
as
much the thing. And sometimes when we don't have much to do, we'll like, oh, let's just pick a song and play it, and then we'll end up all just sitting down, just chatting, and like no one said like, oh, let's chat now. It's like we finish a song and then Connor just goes, oh, I forgot to tell you about this, and then Seth starts, and then all of a sudden we're all just sitting down talking, and we're like, oh, do you guys want to like play another song? And then all of a sudden we were all like G'd up because we've all been chatting about all these things that are happening with Chamberlain, or because usually it'd be like, oh, did you see this email I got, or did you see this video just took off, or things like that. And it's like we were all joking there last year and we're like, we're TikTok famous because we did one in between us reel that semi blew up, and we're just like, well, I'm TikTok famous, don't talk to me, mate.
Yeah, I love that, and that's what it's all about.
It's all about like I think the bands don't break up because the music goes to shit. The bands break up because the people goes to shit.
Absolutely.
So you got to prioritize both.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is like the thing that gets you to listen to a song online is the buy-in from the potential audience. The thing that gets you to come back again is predominantly the sonic properties of the song.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets you to get out of the house to go to a live show is 99% the buy-in. You know the music you're going to get. There's not going to be any surprises.
Yeah.
But you're there to see the chemistry. You're there to watch the chemistry of the people or the person that you have bought into do the thing. Otherwise, essentially, if you wanted a perfect version that's uninterrupted, that has no yobos singing it out of pitch behind you, well, you just listen to the song all the time. Yeah,
and I think I've seen that before. Like I go see a show and it's good and it's music I like, but then I'm like, I don't know if I wanted to see that live. Like to me, it's not ruined it, but it's just like that didn't live up to the almost chemistry I was projecting on the songs. And then you just see a band and they kind of just stood there. And I don't have things against people who just stand there. But to me, it's all about context. So like maybe one band member just stands there, but they've got a really heavy thing they're doing, or they're carrying a lot, like just let them do their job. Yeah. And then you got the front man running around like a headless chook. And then you're like, oh yeah, this kind of makes sense. But yeah, there's been times that I see bands, I'm just like, there's no buy-in because you're just watching them. I'm like, are you having fun?
Bingo. I was literally going to come in with that exact question. Are you having a good time?
Yeah.
Like that's one thing that I've reshifted that paradigm in my head to be like, the only times I can actually remember not feeling G'd up pre, during, or post has been when I've felt that, for whatever reason, fun wasn't being had.
Yeah.
And there's no other reason. Nothing else going on in my life, whatever like that. That's only been the thing that's been the consistent thing where I go, we had a ball-to-the-wall fun time because we had a fun time. Or we involved ourselves with people in the front who are having a fun time. Those sorts of things. And yeah, I've seen shows where people are just 4 people standing on a stage.
Yeah.
Playing songs.
And I feel like, though, not to like discount that, as I feel like I've seen that before and it worked because it's almost what I've bought into.
Sure.
In a way, it's like I've bought into maybe they're really delicate songs, or maybe they're really long, or maybe what I'm buying into isn't their attitude. It's just like this perfect music or something. And I don't have any good examples for that. But most of the time when you just see 4 statues up there, you're a bit like, at least like move a bit. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think there's also a lot of tasteful things. I think there was a period, and this is my personal opinion, and I don't want to put forward if it's anyone else in Chamberlain, there was a bit of a time with Chamberlain where it felt like we were forcing it a little bit. And I don't know why that is, what that's come from.
Forcing the energy.
Forcing the energy.
Okay, sure.
And I definitely felt like I was doing it myself. And maybe it was to battle, like, you know, we were expecting a better audience than we got or something, and then we're trying to compensate with that with just like so much energy in a sick show. And I guess it works. But then on the other hand, I really felt like I was faking it. Whereas now, literally nearly every show I play with Chamberlain is an absolute ball. I just love it. And so much of it rescues a day. Like some of the times on tour, what I love so much about when we have toured is like the best part of the tour has always been the show. Like it's never, if we've been driving all day and we're defeated, the show never feels defeated. It's like finally we're here. This is what we came here to do.
Yep.
And we just have so much fun doing it. And that's always the highlight. Or that period when you're there at load in at 4 p.m, you're not on till 8. There's like this 4 hours of waiting around. You're not sure if anyone's going to show up. You're not really selling any shirts. You're just kind of waiting there. But all of a sudden you get on stage and you're like, oh, there's people here. Yes.
This is what we're here
to do.
Yeah,
and then you just play and it's so much fun. And yes, there's so many times I remember feeling that of like, why were we worried? Like we're so good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like yeah. And also like this is our bread and butter.
Yeah, that's definitely the feeling of like, no, this is what we're meant to do. Like you just leave the stage going, this is why we're doing it, because it feels so good and it's just so awesome. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, to pivot slightly.
Please do.
Yeah, I was getting sick of that Chamberlain shit. It was fucking annoying. I was sick of it. I don't know who asked about that, but I was pretty sick of it. No, but to pivot slightly, Calan Mai, tell me about that world. So, Geordie came with an idea and has built things around the solo project, which now has such legs in the 4-piece. Tell me about that from your point of view.
Cool. Can I tell the story about
Please.
it all? Okay. Because I love the story with Geordie because it almost feels like there was something else going on than just, oh, he's cool, I want to play with him. So I
did that when I chatted him on the pod. It was. I was like, I understood all these things that I was like, wow, I had no idea. I'd not even thought that could have been what was going on.
Yeah, so like I didn't even know Geordie was like doing anything with Dylan. I didn't really know Geordie, and I didn't even know that he'd quit music or anything. But essentially, I went to the music club showcase that Alex was running, only because Wife Cult were on the lineup, and actually I think another mate was Lung. Maybe, I don't know, Wife Cult and Lung were playing. I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to go to that. And then so I went, and then Geordie was just there in the middle, and I was just like, it was Henrietta Lacks mainly, the song that I was just like, whoa, this guy's sick. And it's also really funny thinking back to that, now that I know Geordie, is I definitely added a lot of rose-coloured glasses when I saw him the first time. I was like, that guy is the coolest guy I've ever met. He's just, and he is really cool, but it's funny because now I know like the dorky side of him. I'm like, he's not as cool as I first thought he was. But anyway, sorry, Geordie.
That's such a slam.
No.
Geordie
Geordie is so much bigger. It's almost like he's so much bigger than just what I first saw him as. I was just like, he's just a really good songwriter and he knows it. And then now I've learnt that he's like got so much self-doubt. He took 6 years to release an album.
Like the self-doubt's part of the brand.
I know, it is now, exactly.
And you were just like, wow, man, keep your confidence to a minimum.
Yeah. When I first saw him, he just, I don't know what it was. Like maybe it was like, I think it was the first time he'd actually played guitar in a year. So he was just like, would have had this fresh, confidence about him. And I was like, ooh, this guy's too cool for me.
This must be what he's like all the time.
Yeah. And anyway, this is such a bad story.
I really want to tell the story.
I really want to tell the story, and now I don't want Geordie to listen to it. Anyway, 2 weeks later, I went to the actual just music club. To, I think most of Chamberlain went because we were like, whoa, this is bigger than just like a show. Like they're meeting weekly or fortnightly and just chatting about music stuff. And we didn't go very often, but because it was Tuesday afternoons when our band practice was, and as I said, that's a sacred event.
Yeah.
So anyway, we went to that a few times, and it was really awesome. Alex had really good practical advice. But one time, Geordie was sitting there, and he just goes, I've decided I'm going to get back into music. I'm going to start releasing my album. I'm going to start releasing it, and I'm going to try and start a band. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, I know I want to do it. I'm going to go and talk to him. And I'm naturally quite introverted. So I would never do that in a million years. But I just felt this thing of like, I'm going to go talk to him. But at the same meeting, this other guy kind of took him aside and was kind of talking his ear off of like, I've got you sorted. I'll sort your band. I'll do a show with you. Like, let's do it. I kind of know a venue in Brizzy. Let's just do this. And just had all the things. And I was like, oh, kind of missed it. He's sorted them out and left it. And I was like, anyway, I felt like there was something there. And then, anyway, it was maybe only a week later that I just get a call from a booking agent in Brisbane who's booked a few Chamberlain shows. He calls me and he calls my personal account. So the first thing I do is like, he's called the wrong account. I'm not answering this. Yeah. Because I'll answer it if it was on the Chamberlain account probably. But I was just like, anyway, I was like, I'm not answering this. And then the message was just like, you want to pick up. I was like, okay, whatever. So,
that is the most like movie level answer.
It's like, yeah,
you'll want to pick
up. It's like you'll want to pick this up.
I
was like, well, I mean, he was right. Anyway, so I called him, and then he starts telling me the story. It was very long. Goes on. He's like, yeah, there's this guy. He lived in England for a bit. I knew him from my days on the Gold Coast, and so I'm like, yeah, righto. And then he's done this. He's played at Royal Albert Hall. He's been writing music. He quit for a bit. And I'm just like, hold on. I know exactly who you're talking about. You're talking about Calan Mai? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, and I pretty much just said, yep, I'm in. Give me his number or give me his number or I'm in. And then literally, I think it was the next day, Geordie called me and was like, do you want to do a jam? And then Dylan was already locked in to be his drummer from a while ago.
Yeah.
And then so we were like, we'll do a jam on Saturday or something. So it was pretty much, I saw him, thought about being his bass player. randomly in a completely separate universe get a call from a guy asking me to put us together.
Yeah.
And then that next week I was in a jam room with the boys and we just kind of gave it a go. And then we've been doing it ever since, pretty much since then. And then in November, Chloe joined as the fourth member, as backing vocals, keyboard, kazoo, tambourine, all the good stuff.
Yeah. From those gaps, yeah.
But yeah, it feels really cool that like I was there and I could have talked to him, but I didn't in the end. But it still came around and I still ended up doing it. And I was just like, oh yeah, I really feel like I'm meant to do this. And I've always felt that. And I even remember the first time going to the jam, leaving so exhausted because all I'd ever done was Chamberlain. So most of the songs now, muscle memory, except for the ones we're working on. Whereas this was like, here's a bunch of songs that are totally new that you have no muscle memory of. And you're learning whilst trying to figure out if this band is right for you and things like that. So I just left mentally so exhausted and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, this is a lot. But then like literally, I think it was 3 or 4 jams later, I was like, oh no, I'm in. I got this. I can feel it. And it probably wasn't till maybe a couple months ago that I left a jam for the first time being like, I feel like I've got a rhythm. I'm confident in all the songs and things like that. Like it took a long time. It took a lot of work, but only recently I've now reached that part of like, no, it's like this is now also my bread and butter. And
and it always looks like you guys having a great time on stage. It always has, whether it was 3-piece or now with Chloe and stuff. It's always looked like you guys having a good time. And once again, it fits into that mold again. Like the songwriting carries it so much because it is such a songwriting lyrically intoxicating style of writing and music.
And for me, it was funny. Dicko was talking about this to me like last night about like how bands can kind of fill a hole of your life or whatever. And I feel like Calan was so good at filling a completely different hole. Most of the music I listen to is like not anywhere heavier than Chamberlain. Everything I listen to is quite softer. I listen to a lot of pop music and singer-songwriter music. And Frank Turner is my favourite. And actually, when Geordie lived in England, he got called Australia's response to Frank Turner for a second or something. And I was like, huh. So this was filling a whole new hole, which is a lot more softer. But funnily enough, still has a bit of that, like Geordie's favourite band's Blink-182. So it still has that kind of punky element.
It has some grit.
Inspiration, has some grit. I think that's what it is. We're not anywhere near to being a punk band or a rock band. Maybe like indie rock, folk indie rock. Just add as many words as you want there.
Yeah, but you're right. It's just a bit of
rock,
grit.
but it's got a bit of the grit. And then I guess Dylan brings that as well with his pop punk upbringing and drumming. So he brings a bit of the grit there. And then Chloe probably softens it out a bit, which is really good.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have that and to have the texture on top. I think it's such a good. It's interesting just listening to like John's world of songwriting and hearing him by himself to start with as well, which was the first time I ever heard Calan was just Geordie and stuff like that. To hear that style, I'd only recently sort of heard that sort of introspective but very interesting conversational almost songwriting like months beforehand, and then I've seen someone else do that and I was like, wow, this is great. I instantly loved it. The same feelings I felt. I was like, I love this. I love where this is going. And then as the band is built, it's just gotten even better.
I feel like Calan has been so good. It's been such a different space. It's just been awesome. It's much more intricate and subtle in a lot of its tones and themes or even changes we do musically. Yeah, it's got a lot more intricacy and subtle stuff to it, which takes a lot of time to
Absolutely,
do.
yeah.
But I feel like same thing. There's a marriage of ideas that have come together really well, particularly with, I guess, Geordie doing it on his own for 10 years, I think has beaten him down a lot. And then having my Chamberlain attitude of like, we're just going to do it. Stop overthinking it. That's why we called our EP that. And so I've pretty much tried to bring that to Geordie a bit to just be like, let's just do it. Like, you know what I mean? We're doing it together. And it's been really cool to see him leave. And he sometimes is like, oh, here's are the reasons why I didn't like this. I'm like, oh, well, here's the reasons why I did. He's like, this is why I'm so happy I'm doing it at a band now. Because otherwise I'd just sit
with that.
sit with that and hate it. But I'm like, yeah, but you got to look at the whole picture a lot of the time. And so much of what growing up with Chamberlain has done has taught me that. So there's a bigger picture. There's also a smaller picture as well, I think, of like, I'm just on stage with my best mates playing songs that I truly love and people are enjoying it, singing along.
That's great.
That's enough of a picture for me.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, there's also a bigger picture of things. And yeah, so it's really nice, I think, to balance out those ideas yet again of just like very complementary, almost competing either attitudes or personalities or skills that just come together really well. And so it's been exciting to see that play out in different projects and things like that.
Absolutely. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's the thing that at its fundamental, when you put two people in a room together, you'll get one and one and you'll get two. But the idea of having this synergy that you get when you put more than one type of creative mind in the room, 1-on-1 can equal 7, 9, 10, lots of things. It can equal lots of new things because you bring what you'd already brought, and then together you come out with something that's better than both of those things, both of those original ideas.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a cool thing that I like. And when people say, what's it like playing in lots of different bands, I think it's just a strength, absolute strength to have so many different ideas, some of which are just not appropriate for whatever genre or whatever, but so many of them can just be so complementary and things that aren't necessarily in the school of thought of that genre or that whatever. You can bring that because you found it somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so much of music does get put in a box, and more so it is at the moment because of playlists and things like that. So if you're putting together a folk playlist, you want to just put in all these folky songs, which is probably where a lot of Calamai's music can fit really well and why it's done so well on Spotify. But what excites me so much about music is music that doesn't fit the box. It's got all these different elements coming together, and I think that's been what's the great part of so much music before this current musical age we're living in. So yeah, it really excites me of that. You get the folk music that Geordie's been writing, but then he also loves Blink-182, and then I'm bringing this to that, and we're creating something completely on its own that stands on its own. And I think it's just so special, and I think I've done that with both projects of like we're all bringing our influences together, and we're literally trying to do what you're not supposed to do. We're trying to make not cookie cutter music.
Yeah, literally.
We're trying to just go, what do we want to do? What feels right? And just kind of stick into that and doing it.
That ends up being the memorable stuff. Anyway,
yeah, exactly. I felt that. Like I think sometimes we've felt it maybe in Chamberlain. It's like, oh, maybe we should make this song heavier because we're a punk band, and then it's like, well, but also we want to honor the song, and so you get something like Concentrated that is just like a 6/8 feel sway beautiful song, and it's like, in a way, the way we've recorded it probably doesn't quite sound how we play it live anymore. Is because the recording's got some really strong bluesy solos that we probably don't really do anymore because we're leaning more into just playing the song as it is and as it should be. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like what excites me about music is a bit counter what we should be doing per se.
Which is what it's all about.
But it makes me make music that really, really excites me in both platforms.
Absolutely.
Completely, yeah.
No, I get that. I like that. I'd like to ask you, maybe we're talking about bigger picture and smaller picture. I'd like to ask you what is bigger picture for Josiah? Like what do you want? Like music obviously has always been a big part for you and it will continue to be, and there's the family connection between like your brother and your dad and your mum and all this stuff. But what do you want music to be for you?
That is an excellent question. Honestly, I have no idea. Bigger picture music-wise is I over the years of doing music, I've just fallen more and more in love with it and things like that. And it's just like, there's just something there that I feel in all the projects I'm a part of. And I'm just like, I want to take it as far as we can with everything. Particularly with the last few shows we've done with Calan have felt like, there's something here. I feel like there's, and I don't know what it looks like, but I do feel like there's something bigger going on with Calan, and just that the songs are so strong. And then similarly with Chamberlain, with this album we've recorded, I've never been more proud of a project in my life. And I'm just like, if the right people, I don't know, hear it or something, and it might not be this album, because as soon as we're done this album, we're going to write another one, I'm sure. We've already started writing new songs.
That's what it is. Often the thing
so
you
I think it's about growth, and we're constantly growing, and naturally being a bit of a pessimistic and things like that. I don't want to say I want to take over the world and things like that. For me, I mean, I'd love to, but for me, it's about sustainability. Is I want to be doing this pretty much forever, is making music, recording music, performing music, and things like that. And I also see it in so many different ways for me as, so I want to take all these bands while I'm young and tour as much as I can. I want to play more bigger festivals. Chamberlain's playing the Bullcock Street Music Fair, which is, I mean, we've played some other really good ones, but that's a really exciting one for us. The guys who used to do Calan Music Festival, putting on one just on the Bullcock Street there. But then, we've done like the Big Weekend, and we did the one in Redcliffe and a few others. But it's like just continually getting better, continually seeing growth. And then, so same with both of these.
Yeah, there's definitely
I don't know.
legs.
That sentence ended very weirdly.
No, that's fine though. But you got legs. I think part of the thing is like often the thing that you think is necessarily going to be the one or whatever, you end up finding it's the next one that maybe was the go, and the snowball effect and stuff. But like, I was gonna say the one thing that I know you guys is that you guys are doing whatever it is. You're putting 100% effort into it, and you're doing it as close to right as anyone could ask for. Yeah,
I think naturally, I can be pessimistic, as I said, and I don't want to say things like that. But like, ultimately, with it is like the goals are to be as big as we can. But I also am wary of that. That is a false identity of success, and so I don't want to like put it on a pedestal of like, oh, we need to play this festival and then we've made it, because then I just know we'll either get there or we won't, and we'll either feel good or feel bad either way. And so, I mean, it's a lot of like, I guess, personal reflections I've done of what is happiness, what is that. And so I definitely feel like music is something I love chasing and I want to grow so much. But now I'm learning how to be happy doing the process and enjoying the journey of taking it as far as I can. So I want the success to be how we've been doing it, not necessarily, once we get here, then we've made it. Because I feel like that'll just, once we get there, we'll be like, all right, what's next? And not enjoy anything along the way. And I think we got a little bit trapped in that with Chamberlain for a second. It felt, for Chamberlain, it feels a lot like, we say it a lot, it feels like everyone is against us sometimes. And I'm sure every band feels this, but like every time you like book something, someone pulls out or it gets pulled out. It's like so many times it's happened repeatedly. It's like, it feels like we're fighting against the world. And I'm sure every band experiences this, but then it just gives me more juice to go, all right, instead of being defeated and just giving up, like I guess I've seen happen to Geordie, it's like, all right, no, how can I just enjoy the process and then just continually grow? And then the other thing on top of that is like, sure, if overnight you end up getting 1 million streams or you play this sick festival, how do you keep that audience so then it's sustainable? Like I said, it's like, well, you have a big hit and then maybe you just fall off. So instead, if we're growing slowly, I feel like just naturally, if you grow slowly, you've got an audience that's been with you the whole way. It's not like they've just heard a song and want to keep going. And they've just heard a song and liked it, and then that's in their place and that's it. It's like, well, they've been following you for a while.
The buy-in's
there. Like, they're a part of this journey. And so I don't know if I've articulated it quite how I'm feeling about it.
You've made me think of so many other things, like from that, the idea of building a foundation through something with process in mind and thinking about the principles and the chemistry and all the things that you guys want to be on for yourselves, and then the results come. So it's rather than getting in the weeds about that guitar tone in that record, it's like, okay, did we utilize good people, a good team, we put our best foot forward and we recorded songs we liked? If yes, then that little teeny weeny tiny little thing isn't even making the headlines.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because you've built up something that you believe in on all the bits that matter, and then everyone can come with you, you know, because the thing is, if you get to the point where you're doing, you know, consistent festivals, at least one a quarter, and people are coming for you, and you're getting pushed up the lineup a little, to be that not one hit wonder sort of thing, but to be that quick splash in the pan success and not actually understand how to do everything else to sustain that, that's of a disadvantage to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas to be like, oh, this hasn't happened in the 7 years we've been doing this band, but man, if it happens in year 8, we are prepared. We know what to do because we back our live show. We back each other. We're not going to get to someone blowing up our song and getting 2 million streams and then someone saying, oh, do you want to play a festival? And then the bass player, well, that was a bad example, that's you. And then Seth goes, oh, I don't really want to do that. And you're like, hang on, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't want to do that? I thought we all want to do that. You've got out all the uglies.
Yeah.
And so therefore you're set up in a way that you can hit the ground running, whether it happens today, whether it happens in a year, whether it happens in a month. You know,
yeah, exactly.
You've built that together for yourself.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's managing both things of like, yeah, we're striving and we're growing and we're searching for it. But it was funny. I was at the Slowly album launch show at Crowbar, so like their acoustic intimate show, and they did a Q&A afterwards. And one of the questions I can't remember what the question was, but the answer was essentially their favorite time of being a band was when they drove all the way up from Melbourne to Brisbane. They played Rick's Bar to like 2 people. Woo! And they had the best time. They were like, we loved it. We played so well. And they were like, and then literally a month or so later, I just saw them play at Fortitude Music Hall, this huge production that was awesome. And he was like, yeah, I love doing that, but I so badly want to go back to getting in a van with the boys and just driving there. And for me, I'd just come back from that Chamberlain tour where we'd driven all the way down to Melbourne, to Adelaide, to Sydney, to all those places. And I was like, I feel like in the moment I wasn't cherishing it at all. Like I feel like all of us were a little bit of like this is so much effort for, you know, maybe not the greatest of shows or things like that. Luckily we came home with an amazing album, because that really did lift our spirits a lot.
Of course.
But then that was just Melbourne and Adelaide, and then we went back a few weeks later and did just the Sydney, New South Wales run. And our attitude was completely shifted. I don't think the shows were much better, but our attitude was just like, we need to just enjoy this. We're in a van together, let's just go, let's just do it. And then secondly, like the comparing thing doesn't work very well, is you look at the bands ahead of you like, I just want to do that, and I think then I'll be happy. But then he's up there saying, I want to do what you're doing. But then even if they're playing the Fortitude Music Hall, then they're probably like, oh, well, then how do we then do the entertainment centre? And it's just like, you're never going to stop. So you just got to find a way to enjoy the process and the journey. And then second to that is there's bands clearly that would kill to be in our position. And we've got to really recognise that is I've been trying so hard, and I don't want to apologise if I haven't been doing this very well, is bands that have been DMing us asking for shows, is to actually write them down and actually, if we get a chance to put together a show, getting them with us. And so it's crazy to me how many just random messages we do get from other local bands starting out, things like that. And we're like, we need to cherish that people are looking at us and seeing a level of success. How do we then also feel that whilst still striving to grow? And
yes, that abundance mentality. It's that there's enough to go around for everyone. The other thing I like with that sliding scale, the happiness is the mirage finish line that you can never reach. But when people do set a goal and misalign it to being a happiness metric, they get themselves in a position where they're like, I've like that's what happiness is going to be. That's what it's like. No, you've reached a goal, but the happiness is the bit that gets you there. Because if you don't enjoy it and all this stuff we talk about where we started, how bands break up, it's not because the tour drive wasn't super fun or because the songs don't vibe with them anymore. Yeah. It's because at their core, their foundation is not strong enough to handle anything, or one of them isn't that bothered on touring, or this one likes to get the missus involved a little too much. And it's like, well, you're not really part of the band, you know, we're going to make our own decisions. You know, those sorts of things, whatever it is, that sort of stuff, if enjoying that, and it's definitely something that's triggered in my head a little bit, especially we're talking about touring and helping the Delacoma US tour stuff is we need to make sure we have the best time when we get there.
Yeah.
Because dealing with, visa applications to go over to the US and booking flights and stuff is fucking boring.
I know.
So let's not get in the weeds about that.
Yeah.
That's done. I don't have to think about that. When I touch down in July, I'm there to enjoy it, not any other stuff, not thinking about the flights or the admin or the tickets, or it's about we do what we need to do to the extent that we need to do it in, but we are a team and we are there to play shows. We're not there. They don't care how many tickets were sold when we're playing the show. They couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's they're there for a show. We're hoping you're going to deliver one.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like it's the same thing of like if you're in the weeds about the booking the flights or the visas, and I'm sure that's difficult. It's like, but so many people would love to play in the US, I'm sure. So it's
they're like, oh,
you've got the
why are
opportunity.
you complaining?
Yeah. So exactly, you're stuck in this thing. There's always a reason to complain. There's always a reason to celebrate. You kind of just have to. You kind of have to recognize both.
Have your paradigm of thought. Yeah. You just have to shift it.
Yeah, and you kind of just have to bounce between that and just know when to feel things, whatever. But then, like you said, you got to make sure you have a fun time. And part of that is just like focusing on each other and having fun when you play a show. Like, it's not that difficult, really.
I was having an interesting thought the other day when I was talking to someone, or I was watching a video or something, and they did the whole, real job vibe. They had that conversation, or they'd experienced having had that conversation with family at Christmas or whatever. And I was like, yes, that's founded in a lot of ignorance and disrespect for the most part. But the reason Uncle Phil, after 14, beveraginos for Christmas Day, says, have you got a real job yet? Is because he thinks that what we do is so unbelievably fun with no work involved.
Yeah.
So let's help him be a little bit right and not be like, oh no, we don't enjoy it. It's like, okay, so you just get up on stage night after night and you don't even enjoy yourself. The only reason I'm saying that you're going to get a real job is because it looks like you're having the time of your life.
Yeah.
You're not even having the time of your life.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's, for me, it's just been a real shift. I'm like, yeah, the reason people don't value it as real work is because it looks so much fun.
Yeah.
So why am I not having so much
exactly.
fun? If I'm not having that,
that's
then
really good.
What's the point?
Exactly.
Well, tell the lovely people where they can find everything, Chamberlain, Calan, the new releases, all the business, all that stuff.
All the business. Everything.
Fantastic. Well, that was great. Yeah. Well, it's another episode. No, sorry. You can say a little more if you want.
I don't know the best way to do it. Calamai's on everything. I am Calamai. Chamberlain's on everything. Chamberlain Band. But yeah, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Chamberlain's on TikTok.
You just released a new tune?
High School Friends came out this week when we recorded it. Heaps more coming. Very happy with that track. And Calamai just released an album this month as well. Maybe an Island will do. Very proud of all that work. I mean, I wasn't a part of the album, but I'm very stoked that I'm kind of a part of it.
No, you're absolutely part of it now, and the stuff you guys are writing is awesome. So you definitely...
It's a cool thing where my band has released music, but I can listen to it as a consumer because I don't play on it. I wasn't there in the studio. I didn't write any of the songs. They were done 6 years ago.
Yeah, Geordie wasn't even part of it. Like the person that goes to the shows and is at the front of Calan Mai, he's not the guy that recorded those tunes either. Another guy from a season, 6 seasons ago of his life recorded that. So for him, I feel like he's even got like a bit of a...
Yeah, I fully listen to it as a Calan Mai fan. So I don't know, that's a good way of endorsing it. I mean, I listen to all my music. A lot of artists do get up on like podcasts and things like, oh no, I don't listen to my music. Every single Chamberlain song, every single Calan Mai song is on a playlist somewhere of mine.
Absolutely.
Like, I love it.
Absolutely. Like the thing for me, like I struggle a little bit with the trio stuff because I produce it predominantly, so that's hard because I've got to turn the critical listening off. But for the most part, fuck yeah, I'll put on the Blood album, and relive the US tour from 2023 and have a laugh about it. Absolutely, that's good fun.
Yeah, and it also goes on waves. Like I'm sure I'm going to be sick of High School Friends because I've been editing so much content with it.
Of course.
So in a week's time, I'll skip it as soon as it comes back on Spotify. But then every now and then it's still in my playlist and it'll come up. It's probably one. I'll probably skip Liana the most because I've just heard it so much. But every now and then, just it comes on in the car. Can't be bothered to skip it. And just like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I think about that. I think about sometimes you have like the sing-along times in the car and you put everything on, you go, oh, let's G up 3 or 4 of your best, and you put them on, you just yodel to them because you're just back to front. And you maybe don't even play them like that anymore because you actually play them differently or whatever. But yeah. But once again, same thing. If you're not having fun, if you are so like viscerally like disgusted by having your own music be playing online, I think that tells you more than if
I
you
don't
like listening
I don't
to
get it. I kind of get it from the creative mindset of like, I would just want to leave it out there and be its thing. But yeah, I'm just so proud and love what I do. I'm just like, of course I want to listen to it. It's on Spotify. It's so easy.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. Awesome. Well, thank you for sitting down with me. I'm so glad we finally got to do this because, because you have so many stories to tell, and I love your insights on this, and I love your insights on this world.
Yeah, I feel like we just started.
Like the certain things you have to get out of the way. I have to find a little bit more, peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
The lovely people.
I feel like I should do a separate podcast where you follow up on all these people, and it's just like really either weird or intricate questions that are like just something new. You know what I mean?
I've thought about that. I've thought about doing it.
Because you do a really good job of trying to paint a picture, a very broad picture, and get to know people. But how good would it be if it's just like, all right, I don't have an idea. Like, all right, Connor, rank your favorite, what's your top 3 movies? And then also that can go into a bit more of like other avenues and stories. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
I like that. You know what? And I've actually thought about this. So I have an idea that is now coming to the forefront for the first time. And that idea is I wanted to do like more of a conversational podcast. Like obviously this is conversational.
Yeah.
More of a conversational podcast with someone in a more of a co-host setting.
Oh yeah.
Because like people like you and stuff, it's like there's a lot of stuff that I'm learning about you, and I love that. It's like when I've done stuff with Connor and Jet and all this stuff, just because we're boys and we go way back and I know lots about you, there's still some things that I have even said out loud today that I didn't realize, I didn't know. But now that a lot of that's out the way and we've been working together for ages, and now we play in bands and stuff together, I want to like carry that on and be like, okay, well, our foundation is that we know each other. You can buy into this, and then we can do stuff like, you know, what's your favorite version of something or other? That was I'm going to need better ideas, but whatever you said.
We can talk about the time where we were in Chamberlain was in Tuncurry and we all watched the Anna Kendrick movie about the serial killer on Netflix.
We could also talk about the fact, that actually just flagged something in my head. We could talk about the fact that when we were in Rockhampton after driving back from Early Beach, we got something, we had this little tiny TV in the room and we turned it on and it was Frankie Valli and the Four Seas. It was Jersey Boys. And we watched that. We watched that for a bit, like ironically, to see if something moved. And then we just kept it on. And then it was like 20 minutes in, 30 minutes in. And then just about 35 minutes in, there's this one thing and they just go through, one of them comes out of prison and he's like, and that's what they said about him. He came out of prison and that's what you knew. Trios were dead. And the three of us and Jed just sitting there and go, fuck! And it was just like, and it was just like one of those moments where none of us talked about it. We all just went, fuck.
Trios are dead.
And then we just continued to just watch the Jersey Boys movie, and then and then that was just part of the enjoyment we had.
The John Justice trio should just be the John Justice. Just pick a number. The John Justice 6. But there's still only 3 of you.
Well, we've discussed that. If we ever went big band, it could be John Justice and the trio, or John Justice and the however many people, or the Justice trio. And as you say, we just go steadfast on the Justice trio, and it's just the 3 of us and 7 to 10 backing band.
One of my favourite band names is Ben Folds 5, because there's only 3 of them.
Yeah, love that.
But it sounds better. The Ben Folds 3, ill. The Ben Folds trio, also ill. Ben Folds 5, ooh.
Exactly. Folds 5, love that.
Exactly.
Bit of alliteration.
But there's 3 of them. It's so funny.
Why not?
I love it. It's my favourite thing.
The way I see it is like that sort of thing is if it's the way if things are too close, then it's like iffy and try-hardy. But if things are ridiculous, then it's great.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, oh, you're not even close. Like, it's miles away.
Yeah,
it's hilariously close.
It's not even 4. It's 5.
Exactly.
Ben Folds 4. It could be a 4-piece. Ben Folds 5. They're a 3-piece.
Yeah, Ben Folds 4. I see that for the first time and I go, oh. I think someone left. They used to have a second guitarist. Someone left. But they were too proud to get rid because people already had the name identity. But yeah, so that's my idea. So if you've made it this far into the pod, then you've heard through the airwaves my harebrained scheme about doing a podcast like with a co-host.
If Josiah leaves it in.
Yeah, we'll see. He's a pretty good guy. You should see the other sort of...
It's fun to say things.
It is fun to say things. Like when I said, hey mate, would you be interested in editing this? Very fun. Super fun to say these things. I assume I'm going to have maybe the camera zoomed in a bit on me obnoxiously now.
We're getting stupid now, everyone.
Exactly.
We're getting stupid.
Exactly. 47 minutes ago, Josiah said where you can find all the bands he's in. So if you're still doing that, then have a listen. But otherwise, thank you for sitting down with me. And it's always a pleasure. I'm so glad we got to do this. Finally.
Love it.
Well, guys, that is another episode of the Ask a Muso podcast. Until next time, I'll see you later.